now it's working. There we are.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, now we're ready. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, know your nation, know yourself. The two are interchangeable. Of course, to my side here, I have Lady G, of course, in New Mexico, and then down under we have Lena. And in a way, I suppose, is this the first HoGaLe's that is the post-election?
Yes.
It
Yes.
is.
It's only
Right.
been 4 days or something. It seems like 2 years, but it's only been half a week. Oh, no.
Well, one thing I would say before we start out the show, and I've got your questions in, and of course, as one can imagine, they are mainly election focused, which is understandable, and I think
Yeah,
we can indulge that level of questioning
totally.
because it is so consequential, and it's absolutely epic. And you've heard, me and others say it before, we really do live in extraordinary times.
Mm.
Extraordinary times. These are once in a lifetime transformations and changing that we're all facing in the world. And there's much more to come. I'm over the next few weeks, I'm going to be trying to put out, in terms of astrologically, things that I've been seeing, stuff that has been coming true, and where I actually see a lot of this going. And I think it's high time as well that I do the future for all the different ascendants, the astrological ascendants in this new reality that we're living in. So I'm going to look at that as well, particularly as well with that big stellium happening in Pisces and what that could mean. But without further ado, let's just dive in. And it's going to be more election focused, and that's going to give us a lot of time to kind of really talk
Yeah.
our different viewpoints and just get stuff off our chests. All right, so what's the first one that's come in?
Lady G,
Oh,
your earrings are stunning. Oh my
oh,
God.
Oh, thank you. These earrings are actually made by prisoners.
Bless.
wow.
Yeah, I got them when I was on my cross country thing, and the prisoners get to make these things, and then they get some money for their, to use in the prison system
Yeah.
stuff. So gives them
Fascinating.
something to do.
It's a
Yeah,
very
and they
good
are
thing.
lovely. They are gorgeous. So here actually with question number one actually actually is a non-political question, but I think it's worth addressing at the top of the show. So and this is coming from Montague. And they said, you have clearly explained, so it's a little bit astrological, but I think it's worth explaining. You have very clearly explained the difference between Pluto and Capricorn in Vedic versus Western astrology. But how can one system be pointing in one direction while the other points in another direction? I hope the sense of my question comes through clearly. Put another way, with two different systems, it seems like we have two different directions. So how do we make sense of this? Many thanks. So I'm just going to be as quick as I can just to help everyone get it. Even though I've been saying it for years, I know it's tough for people to understand. So there is a phenomenon in physics called precession of the equinoxes. This isn't made up. This is physics, proper science. And the stars are moving backwards by 1 degree every 72 years. Over time, this adds up to the stars moving backwards, and the spring equinox will rise in a different place. Western astrology, and it's not a critique, it's just a fact, Western astrology does not take that movement into account. So Western astrology is still saying the spring equinox is rising in Aries, but it's actually rising in sidereal Pisces because the sky is literally moved backwards. This is why all of the planets have come back. So even though Western astrologers will talk about Pluto being in Aquarius, it is not there yet because the whole sky has moved backwards by almost 24 degrees. It's actually in sidereal Capricorn, which deals with government, oligarchy, big business. Yeah.
So, Hoagie,
Brilliant.
just broadly for people, what is the gap then in time, as we understand it, between Western Pluto in Aquarius and Vedic in Pisces? What's
All
the
right.
time?
Well, I'll tell you quite a lot. So the distance. So if we take a house, if we just take a house is a 30-degree portion of sky. The stars have moved back by almost 24 degrees out of 30. So it's almost back by one whole sign. That means you have to take all the planets back by 24 degrees because Pluto is a very slow moving planet. When you take 20 degrees off Pluto, he is quite way back. He's not going to be out of sidereal Capricorn, and everyone, I've said it before, but take a deep breath, for about 17 years. Right. So I don't want to scare everyone, but we have to talk about.
It's better to know.
Yeah, we have to talk about this because this is actually in the constellation. Is look it up on NASA. Yeah, look it up on your software and you'll see that's where it is. So this is why everything's so intense. But I just thought we'd get that out of the way at the top of the show. All right. So question number 2. This is actually coming from Nick Minks, actually. And then we'll go on to US politics. She says, does Farage, Nigel Farage, stand a chance of pulling a dictator move in the UK? Yeah. And let's have a bit of Shakespeare on Nigel Farage.
Nigel Farage, the embodiment of evil. Now, let me just fill in American viewers on Nigel. I'm trying to think of an American equivalent. There really isn't one. Nigel Farage has a happy, clownish face, right? He doesn't look threatening. His ideas, in a way, sort of mirror almost Steve Bannon. But whereas Bannon looks like this macho, Nigel Farage is sunny and not that. He is the man behind Brexit. And he was in the European Parliament while saying, let's leave the European Parliament, right? So he's retiring eventually on a European parliamentary pension and all of that. And this is a case, sorry, I'll finish in a second. This is a case because he didn't get smacked after leading the country into the disaster of Brexit. He turned up again at the last election, the Nigel Farage party. There he was, smiling. I wanted to reach into my television and just, you know. So this is what happens when these people don't get consequences. He was massively responsible for Brexit.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that question about him?
So, so the question here is: does Farage stand a chance of pulling a dictator move? So she's talking about a Trump move in the UK.
Okay, quick look.
I'll add my 6 pence worth when I do my reading. Who's ready to go? Lady G, maybe are you ready to go?
Almost.
Oh.
I can go because I just spat out the cards here. Okay. This is the story, right? So no, loss, big loss, regret, no. Followed by the star. So he'll give it another go, right? Right. Okay. And people, as we know, will line up to back someone who tells them simple things, right? So there he is. He will have momentum towards this, but people will reject him this time round, and then he'll retire on £1 million a minute with the good life. So that's my Nigel Farage.
Lady G, what do you have?
Well, this is about the work he's trying to do, the jungle. He's kind of out in the cold when it comes to justice because there's too much information, knowledge about where he's trying to move this to, what he's saying with it. And he is again trying to hold on to the direction that he's trying to push this. But the challenge is his being able to manipulate people, getting enough people on his side to aid with this manipulation, and with the outcome of conversations about protection, about staving it off, about being pushed to the edge with it. So he's going to try it, but it's going to fail.
Very interesting. And I'm just going to quickly read out some comments here. Oh, I've just seen this. Thank you, Deborah. She's just become a new member. Thank you very much. That's very, very kind. And lots more content actually on the way as well, because I've got to do some more astrology and predictions for people and all of that stuff, just for in general, particularly as we're coming near the end of the year. So end of this year, 2025 and all of that kind of stuff. So someone says here, Magister, I think that is that, Magister Tarot says, Farage is one of those ghastly spin doctors. He does have a lot of charisma. He has a lot of charisma. He's got a lot of charisma. Foggy's saying, I'd like to go to ayahuasca. Sorry, I couldn't quite read that properly. Ayahuasca Healing Center in Sacred Valley, Peru. Ooh, that sounds good. And
it's not wonderful. Ayahuasca is a drink that you take. It's a very high hallucinogenic.
Yeah, it's a very powerful drug, that one. And Miss BC says, hi everyone, I had already left the country, so I'm feeling blessed, but I really feel for everyone in the USA. Yeah, quite a few people are coming to me for advice on relocations. We'll have to see how it goes. All right, what do my cards say about Farage? So here he is, on his horse, feeling buoyant and excited, because his good friend Duck Larange has obviously just pulled off a political earthquake. Let's just put it that way. And good old Uranus, sudden shocks and surprises on the star Algol, the star of betrayal. How is everyone feeling?
You called it.
It's always the way, isn't it? He always does what you don't expect. Uranus also caused Brexit. Was actually one of the champions, shall we say, of Farage. I mean, I don't want to blame Uranus too much, but honestly, very powerful planet. So here he is. He's on his horse and he's feeling buoyant, with his red thing in the air, and he's like, "Ooh, yeah." What is he galloped? Who has he galloped straight to? He's galloped straight to Duck Larange. Look at Duck Larange. He's feeling more secure than ever. It's just literally, because he has literally galloped across the knee. He's like, dun, 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 dun. And they were together at the celebration party. So he's galloped to Duck Larange. And as we know, my interpretation of this card, we know that this is a good card, but I have my spin on it, and it can often refer to, for me anyway, as what? The narcissist. Narcissist.
And he is.
And he is. It comes up for Trump. It comes up for Netanyahu, and these basically vainglorious types. So here he is there thinking, you know what? Maybe I am in with a shot. Maybe I'll go for it. Go for it. However, though, the next card he gets is the Four of Swords. And this is my card for like retirement, or ending of career. So I'm not saying it's all going to be completely over for Farage, but I don't think the British public are going to really stomach Farage as the leader of the country. That is not what I'm feeling. He'll make a lot of noise, but ultimately I don't think it will work, because really in the end, the electorate, and whenever I'm doing my political readings now, whenever I see the Queen of Pentacles, it often refers to the electorate for me. I don't think the electorate are up for it. They may go for a female leader. This is my outrage, Lena, but I have a feeling it might be Kemi Badenoch.
Oh, look good. If she pulls it off. I just don't think so. We'll see.
As a woman, but I don't think it's Farage. I think that really would be quite bonkers, but I'm glad we read on the question. Shall we move to the next question?
We were going to do Hogarth, but because Hogarth, Shakespeare, but let's save Shakespeare because Nigel Farage isn't worth time, you know.
Oh, bless. Well, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. We should try and, well, I don't think we can squeeze in another Shakespeare though, because they're not quite Shakespeare-y ones. Maybe at the end. Let's have a look here. Where is it? Question number 3. Now here, this is a good one. And this one really, I was like, oh, we do need to ask this. So Terry has asked, I hope this is where I need to put my question. So yes, you put it in the right place, Terry. Thank you so much. Which is in the community section. When I advertise HoGaLe's, it's always in the community section on my channel. She says, I'm wondering if the US military will support Trump. Ooh.
Yeah, it's a big question, isn't it?
One we have to ask, isn't it?
Mm.
And at this stage, I think he's got the Senate, and now it's still a little bit in the balance of the House, which is looking like it's potentially going his way as well. But let's see, will the military defend the Constitution as they are constitutionally obliged to, or will they side with Duck L'Orange?
Right, let's have a look, because we know they've been talking. The top brass, we know, have been talking.
Yeah. Will they side with
Let's
Duck
have a look. I'll move to there.
Side with Duck L'Orange. Oh, what times! What times! Just like, wow. Let's have a look. Oh. All right, who wants to read?
I know. Oh dear. I moved to the Russian cards.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think this is them talking now. You know, they've got to decide. They've signed up, taken an oath to defend the country, not the dictator. However, this is an extremely powerful figure who will threaten them. I think in the form of changing the heads of the military. He will sack whoever's there and put in his own people. So they know they're up against that. They can sense it. They can work it out. But there could be a sudden death involved. I'm not naming names, that could shift things because this is unfinished business. This woman's still finishing the dress. So that's what I get. They're talking, but also they know he will be a bulldozer, but might not make it much longer.
Wow. Lady G, what do you have?
Well, I start off it's about Trump, conversations about Trump. And so the energy going into it are those that are concerned with this are having fireworks with it. I mean, this is explosive. And the energy going now, they're feeling like they're pushed to the edge. This is really heavy millstone around their neck, very crushing, because you take an oath when you go into the military to protect the U.S., and not to follow the instructions of, like dictator, that type of thing. The challenge is that this is a tower moment when it comes to them and the friends and things within this. And there are secret arguments going on And I wanted to pull some clarifications about this secrets, rapidly feeling embattled with this, on how to go forward with it, or when it comes to the military.
Oh gosh, these things, and my cards are reflecting some of similar things as well. So here Jill says the military is supposed to defy any illegal orders. This is true, but we have to see what Duck L'Orange does. D. Maysor saying Trump won because it was meddled with by Putin and Musk. There are strong suspicions of that, but we do need evidence, guys. So remember that we do need evidence. We have to see what comes out in the wash. And then of November 7, there were 12 million fewer votes for Dems, 2 million fewer for GOP, 81. A lot of details there, 14 missing votes. Something is rotten. What I would say is it's not so straightforward as that, because I've actually been looking around a lot of the different channels and stuff. And I think a person who should be listened to as well is Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson, who's been sidelined and shunned by so much of things. I'll put a link to one or two of her videos below. There were a lot of people that stayed at home, guys. So there needs to be also a bit of a reflection on what happened. But anyway, I'll read some of my cards. So the military, will they go for Trump? Quite complex cards. So this doesn't fill me with a lot of hope, because look who shows up first.
Yeah.
The Empress. And we all know who this is. Russia. Yeah, Russia. We all know I very much associate the Empress with Russia, Putin. He shows up, he basically shows up as both the male or female archetype. He shows up as the Emperor or the Empress. It's a dead giveaway. So there's a strong smell of Putin in the room here, folks. Strong smell, influence. And when you see the cards that come out next, now if we look here, here we have the 9 of Pentacles, but it is showing up in the obstacle position. Now, technically, when the first card is positive, you can say this is reinforcing. But if we do interpret as the obstacle, what this says to me is that there may be some vanity and some egos there that could potentially be persuaded and bought, particularly when you look at the next card, which is this one. Yeah, the devil. The devil. Yeah. We never really want to see this card showing up, particularly when you're asking questions about integrity, because this card is the absolute antithesis of that. Particularly as well when we see the next card. Look, the Ace of Pentacles. I think money and bribery are going to be significant factors that could be at play here. Yeah. I mean, look, we just see Russia. Yeah, the being bought, the shadow of this card is what? The being bought for one's services. And then we've got the devil, and then we've got big money here. I think there might be an element where it will be both, where some could be potentially bribed, or they may be threatened to have their funding cut off if they don't do what Duck L'Orange wants. Yes. And I think some people will be sacked and fired as well. Yeah. This is a card as well of being in the mausoleum and stuff like that. So yeah, there might be, again, I'm not saying that there's going to be, people will be necessarily taken out, but there might be some people removed. Let's just put it that way.
Retired.
Yeah, retired. Yeah, let's put it that way. Retired. Absolutely. Anything to add to that, ladies, before we move on?
No, just that it is unfinished. This conversation at the higher levels of the military is unfinished.
Yeah, they're absolutely debating it because, because basically they have to. Let's just see here. What we've got here is actually, I'm going to ask this question as number 4, and this one can be number 5. So M. Wallace says, it says, now that the cases against Trump have been put on hold, has Jack Smith been given the task of investigating a Trump Putin, Musk election fraud. Thank you. Let's ask about that. I've got an opinion on that, but I want to see what you get, ladies, in your cards.
Right.
Really, this is looking at Jack Smith's future, basically.
So will he be legally redirected to be looking at this other stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the question.
Jack Smith, has he got a role in that?
My instinct is that he's going to be fired on the first day of Trump's inauguration. That's my instinct, but I want to see what you guys get. Jack Smith future. Jack Smith future.
I can go if you like.
Go for it.
He's been talking here with this wedding card. He's been talking closely with this King of Cups. This is my Biden card. So he's been talking closely with Biden what the options are. Now, they're both grown-ups. They both know how this stuff works, horrifying as it is. But from Jack Smith's point of view, he's keeping the bigger picture in mind. This is the World card here. And because of he knows more than anyone else on earth, Jack Smith knows the manipulation of paperwork and documents and what's missing and what went where as much. So he knows this has a global impact. But I think he's going to withdraw with this Hermit card and walk away in the sense, I think he'd possibly do this before he's fired. There's a possibility there, but he's definitely going to withdraw but regroup, I think, with this Hermit card here. So we're going to see. We can't expect that case to go ahead if this all goes ahead, for sure. Yeah.
Lady G, what do you have?
Well, I got something totally different.
Oh, good.
Let's look and see. So the reading is about the message about truth, looking into truth of the situation. And the energy coming into it is about this seeking the energy going forward, moving this forward, because you're looking at this deception. Of course, we get the devil that comes right in, the deception, with the challenge being democracies, my card for Biden and democracy. Yeah. The challenge being democracy and this starting this new. So underneath of it all, it's about getting to a better place.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one was, this is my card for, it keeps coming up in this election stuff, getting this information on the election, holding on to exactly what all took place. My Kamala card, okay, continuing to go, Kamala, with the lid off the cup, looking in to see exactly what happened with the steel.
Oh, I'm loving that.
Wow, fascinating. And just to kind of just, oh, wow, oh my goodness, let me just say some thank yous. Thank you, Sissy, so much for your donations. So Trump will be sworn in, or will it be Harris? Is the US going to become a republic or an autocracy? We obviously we'll do a Harris question. Thank you, Josie. Thank you as well, Sandy. And then someone says here, what we're talking about, the big question is are they going to get to the bottom of the election, and is Kamala going to be president? So obviously we'll do a read of that. I do have my opinions on that, but I will state them when we're actually reading on the question, so that we stay on track. Right, my cards for oh my god, I forgot what we're bloody reading on.
Jack Smith. Jack Smith.
That was a Jack Smith.
Okay.
There's so much going on. Right. These are tricky cards, folks. These are tricky cards. Yeah. So straight away, look, there's skullduggery. Not with him, of course, but around him. Yeah. And wasn't that one of the first things I said? I said, I'm sorry. I think the second that Trump gets his foot in the door, it's going to be a hot button, and he's just going to be on the phone and be like, "You're fired." Yeah, he's going to do it apprentice style. So here we are to obviously facilitate what Duck L'Orange being able to get away with the previous things that have happened. Yeah, previous things that have happened. If we look here in the obstacle position, we have the false knight. So obviously things are going to be spoken out against Jack Smith. I think this is part of Duck L'Orange will immediately make statements and say he's biased and corrupt and stuff. That's why he needs to go. Yeah, and quite a lot of people will go along with that. And yeah, look, Jack Smith out in the cold. I think he's gonna get guys. I'm sorry, you can see it in the cards. However, he may be able to make some partnerships somewhere.
See, I got that wedding card. Yeah.
Did you get the wedding? Yeah, yeah. I think he's going to be able to claw something, maybe some kind of allegiance, some kind of alliance. Could it be perhaps that if he gets fired, but then he maybe goes to a safe blue state and is able to maybe operate under a level of protection there or something like that? But we'll have to see. And then we get Stinky Fish that comes out as well. So, you know, it just means that there are going to be some unpleasant surprises for things around Jack Smith. But we know why, because basically Duck L'Orange is going to try and fire him. But he will make some kind of alliances of some kind. So Trump might be able to sack him, but it's like, I get the sense he might work on a state level, perhaps with blue states, to try and do something. Yeah. Yeah,
I think he'll do something.
And I think we were reading from different perspectives. I'm reading from what's going on now in this administration. We're reading about if Trump gets in, what's going to happen with it. So we're reading from two different time zones.
That's why we get these perspectives. I tell you. And following that, Lady G, in the comments, Aspie Third Eye says they get the feeling that we will hear of election interference more from the state level than the federal. And so that's interesting if we put all that together, that Jack Smith could start working with the states.
Right. And hence with that partnership, because that was my instinct. I was thinking like, I feel like he might even be under a protectorate or something like that. But I see him, and when we put it all together, because Lena, with your cards, you had the Hermit card as well, that kind of retreat, but regrouping and studying, and then with Lady G's cards as well. So I believe he will get fired. I'd be surprised if he's not fired. But he might do things on a state-by-state level. And even though
because this guy is not a quitter per se, you know, by any definition. Well, he knows the writings on the wall, so he'd be making plans.
Yeah, I think he'll be making plans.
Will help the country.
Indeed, indeed. Are we ready for the next question?
Yeah.
Let's just see here. Let's go back international again, and then back into the United States. So Nick Minks asks, are free and fair elections across the world now in the past? As we've seen, money has spoken louder than democracy. So should we expect this to be the new norm? So
can you say that again? I missed part of that.
I know it was a bit of a word salad. So basically what she's saying is, because big business has such a big impact on democracies, basically in this move to autocracy, will this become the norm? Will this become the norm going forward?
Yeah, well, I think it's a global problem, right?
Yeah.
Just while we're shuffling. And it's not the new normal so much as the old normal.
Yeah, something very old.
This is how governments have been doing it for a very long time. It's just shocking when a country as big as the US is behaving like a third world country that is limited in terms of its capacity for governance. That's what the shock is for the rest of the world. Yeah.
Well, it's worth asking, is this the new norm?
Totally. So,
and I had a chat with my German friend Melanie today, so big shout out to Melanie if you're watching. And she confirmed that yes, that elections are very likely in Germany, and she gave me some of the details of the ins and outs. Too long to explain here, but my instinct is I think Germany might go further to the right. That's my instinct with the dynamics going on in Germany now. Okay, elections around the world. What's going on?
Ooh. Well, I can go.
Go for it.
Here we have the pact with the devil. Right. It's like ridiculously clear. Oh, I'll just cover that one up. Okay. So we all have to get our heads around this. What does democracy mean to us individually and as nation states and stuff? We have to think about this because this is far more common. It represents a loss for people and confusion because, as we know, everyone's in their own news echo chamber. So part of all this has a longer history. People have been taught not to trust science, and that's a real problem, and it doesn't bode well for addressing climate change. So these confusing arguments are put forward thanks to the devil and devilish behavior. We're not talking about the devil as a real entity. We're talking about representing bad, greedy behavior that doesn't care what's best for the future of children, etc. That's what we mean by the devil in the modern context. And we will see more elections stolen. Bought and sold and stolen. So all the more reason to try and fight and sort this one out.
Lady G, what do you have?
Well, I may have misunderstood it, but I'll give you what I've gotten. So it's about the wealthy, counting their cash and putting in all of their funds into these elections and things to, with the energy, overturn it, to hang it up, to see it from their viewpoint, which is skewed compared to the rest of us, because they want to hold on to energy. They want to be able to rule in this power. And so the challenge we have is to study this, look into this much deeper and do the work, because this continues to keep people feeling as if they are tied up when really they have the power to get loose from it. But they have this feeling that they're tied up when it comes to these elections for the White House. This nightmare scenario that they're dealing, these fears they have in the background that keep them going when it comes to economy and drama. And so they need to rise up and take back their power and get some more education and understanding about how these things are going.
I think that's the big picture advice, Lady G.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, big. I think that's really talking about just this whole movement around the world and how to kind of deal with this authoritarianism. I just want to say a few thank yous as well, as we have just over 2,000 of you joining us live now. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and it's much appreciated. So I want to say a quick thank you to Harriet. Thank you so much for your donation. We've got here Beyond Extinction, so asking, did Trump blackmail Biden or other Dems to cave on the brazen election fraud with Diddy and Epstein tapes? Well, listen, I wouldn't say it's brazen. This is still being counted. Like we said, it's more likely to happen on a state level if there's something. But we do also have to acknowledge as well, Kamala and Biden have conceded. We can't imagine that we didn't see that either. So let's just see what comes out in the wash. Thank you as well to Iris. Why doesn't the main media talk about election fraud? My guts and spirit are telling me it's rigged. You know, a lot of people are feeling that way. Thank you, Christopher, for your donation.
That's so cool. Thanks.
And Droid as well. In the US, all elections are handled locally. Some swing states are still counted for Congress seats, which should be a tip of how fast a press was called.
Exactly. They're still counting votes now. And yet he got in 5 minutes. It's outrageous.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You know, a lot of them found out that they voted Democrat right straight down the ticket, except for Trump. Except for Trump for president. But the rest of all the categories, they voted for Democrats. And then I have so many people on my channel say they checked, their votes were changed.
Wow.
They went to go vote and they told them, you've already voted.
What?
Yeah. I got a lot of people on my channel say they went to vote. They say, well, you've already voted. They looked at their ballot and saw that it was changed. And then a bunch of them took ballots and they say, oh, we've got your ballot, but it hasn't been counted.
What?
Yes, Hogarth. Yes.
Tons and tons of these, Hogarth. Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, God.
And there's another video out where this woman from Australia was a poll. She was counting the votes. She threw a bunch of votes for Kamala into the trash. They caught her and she got arrested. And she was saying, whatever it takes to get Trump in because he's going to make America great again. And we just need to accept it. And we'll do whatever it is to get him in. Yeah.
And I will never understand why they conceded and not demand hand recounts just to stall the process, just to slow everything down. I don't understand.
Well, I think they did that to keep the calm and to keep things, you know, that this is what we do with the democracy. So they're doing that, but behind the scenes, they've got a lot of investigation going.
Well, yes.
Shouldn't they
have
have
to believe that for now?
But
for
shouldn't
sure,
they have?
Because they will find shenanigans. If they look, they will find it.
Yeah, exactly.
But they shouldn't. But then they shouldn't have come. Because the thing is this. Like, okay, like I'll read my cards. But let's think of this scenario. Yeah. Because when we were reading, like we all said beforehand, we said, look, Doug LaRange will cheat. But this is what I think happened. I think he had every intention of contesting it, stealing it, etc. If the result didn't go his way.
Yeah.
But then because remember as well, they are analyzing the data and they are analyzing how people voted as well. So like 55% of the Latin community did vote for Trump. They did vote for him. Lots of young women also voted for Trump as well. You know, there were lots of people that did actually throw their thing in. So there is that fact as well. But then the other stuff that you guys are just sharing now as well, and people giving their anecdotal stories, that has to be taken into account too. But what I would say is, with all this stuff going on, why then did Biden and Kamala concede? Because now they've conceded, the world has congratulated Doug LaRange on his victory, with all the international leaders saying that. If it were to be overturned now, that would be a virtually guaranteed violent civil war in America. It would, wouldn't it? So do you see?
I mean, personally, I understand the rationale, but the Dems do this all the time. We do the decent thing, and they walk into the lion's den, you know, with a little toga on. It would have been better to stall it and have the fight out, even if it is dramatic. But all is not lost, because it appears behind the scenes they are looking at these things.
Right. And they want to get all the direct evidence first, and then
evidence.
Evidence is critical. But it's still kind of weird. To me, the sheer pace of those results was massively suspicious. Even if it was on a knife edge, it still usually takes the night or the next day. No one expected final results for a few days. And so the suspicions were raised, which should have been enough to not concede. But let's hope they've got a plan. Because we've got to remember too, and then Hogie, you have to read your cards, but Biden, as we sit here, Biden has the most power of a living human on the planet, thanks to the Supreme Court anticipating Trump. He has phenomenal powers. He can refuse to hand over power. He can just stay in if he wants. He can do whatever is necessary at this point.
But will that happen though? And what are the consequences of an action like that? Because then he could then be then the other side could say, look, see, it was absolutely true. The first election definitely was stolen, and now I'm going to shoot my Democrat neighbor rather than just hate on them. Do you see?
You know, that's what he's been planning from the beginning. He put out all these projections that the Dems are cheating from the beginning, and rigging the election, rigging all of this stuff, so that later he could come in and say, see, I told you, you know. But the fact that he swept every swing state, he got more popular votes than any of them have ever gotten. Is just ludicrous. There is no way on God's green earth that he swept every single swing state and the biggest popular vote ever.
And let's hope that's what's happened. They've overdone it. They've overcooked the goose.
That's it.
It's so ridiculous. But because everyone would be more comfortable with the biggest.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to read my cards, but I must because, as you know, I've been looking at this stuff for a long time, and I've been trying to prepare my audience for an eventuality like this. And I would say in private, I've thought for a long time now that Trump would actually win when I'm reading on the energy of where things are going. So I think there is obviously some truth behind this, but I think it is also true there are a lot of people that did vote for him, and we also do need to recognize and respect those people that did choose to go in that way, even if we don't necessarily agree, and we might think that the consequences might be disastrous. I think this is also a process, a wider process that America is going through, because it's having its first Pluto return, which does kind of cover these themes. So I do just want to throw in a little bit of caution there, because I think they need more evidence. So far it's anecdotal, but we need more evidence to substantiate those arguments. And if it becomes more clear as it goes along, then I think it would be the case that Biden would then have to use these new powers that he's been given. But I think the evidence is going to have to be quite compelling. And if it isn't, then that could actually trigger civil war as well. So I just want to let everyone know, with the energies at play, this is also what is at stake as well, what this Pluto return can mean, this sort of thing. So we don't want to induce a civil war either, because, well, you don't even want to entertain what that's going to be about. What was the question? I mean,
denying any of the votes, of those that voted for Trump. Clearly, there are those that voted for Trump, and they're very, very enmeshed in that. And we're not discounting that at all. We are just simply discounting the numbers are not adding up. When you look at the numbers of how many people registered to vote to go out and how much voting was done, and his overwhelming popular vote and sweeping of all the swing states and all of these other things that are coming out with people. There was another person arrested. They had all these ballots in the back of their car that they had taken. They had all the bomb threats at all the Democratic areas during the counting, etc. The voting time. So we're not discounting, if he had won fair and square, that's one thing. We accept it.
This have to live with it.
That. We would live with it. We would live with that 4 years and go through. Absolutely. But the math doesn't add up, and too many things that are coming out, actual videos. And there's also a person that says how easy it is to hack those machines to change the algorithm. I guess it's Linda G that's got the video on that, somebody that works in the government that can tell you how easy it is to hack those machines.
Well, Elon himself said to a crowd, i.e. publicly, all you have to do is change one line of the algorithm.
And that's it. Yeah.
And another comment here is, I think it was Louisiana, called the state 10 minutes after the polls closed. So we've got this, and I was watching it with Dave Johnson. I couldn't believe it, state after state after state, and half the votes hadn't been counted, let alone messed with. So
interesting.
Sorry, you haven't even got to your cards.
I've not got to my cards yet. One thing I would add to that, though, which I think what still needs to happen, I do think there needs to be a bit of soul searching. And again, I think what I've heard, particularly with what Marianne Williamson has said as well, with certain things, I think she makes valid points as well. And what they're saying is even though a lot of Democrats were registered to vote, a lot stayed at home as well. And let's not forget, this is happening on a backdrop where 76% of the American public said that they are severely suffering or just suffering in terms of trying to get ends meet. We're also in a global headwinds where a lot of incumbents have been voted out as well, because this is happening all around the world at the same time. So there's a lot of, I think these arguments are valid, but I think we still need more. We need more, concrete evidence to come in. So, but it seems to be very dynamic, doesn't it? Very, very dynamic. Okay, so what was the question?
I'm sorry, I can't remember.
I don't know. You've got the questions in front of you, Hoagie, so I'm sure you can
There we go.
Yeah, I'm going back, but sometimes I put the line through it. Let me just see. It was free and fair elections across. No, it wasn't that one, because I changed it up a little bit. It was, were they certified? Oh my God, what were we reading on?
I don't know. I think we should move to the next question. We've had the conversation. Yeah.
I remember what it was. We were reading on Jack Smith about doing, if he was going to be, that all of that information.
I thought we finished that.
Anyway. No, we finished that. We finished that.
Finish it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, because I was going to do my questions, and then the tornado ripped through.
Okay, so we're done with that, and we're going to the next question.
Yeah, there's only 6 minutes left. We've got 6 minutes.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Sorry, folks, I got
so much energy.
All right, let's in that case, let's close with this. Which is coming from Cheryl Renee, which is really simple. Will Kamala Harris be president in 2025? Let's just close with that, and let's see how we do. Got to burst into a sweat here. I can't even remember what we were. Anyway, never mind. Such is life.
As you can tell, this is never scripted here.
That's right. If it isn't obvious.
Completely live show, guys. As you know,
Live
totally
means live.
in the saddle, and we just let rip, and there we are.
Sorry,
So
what's the question?
So will Kamala Harris be president in 2025? Let's see what we get.
Let's just look at that. Oh my God. Okay, Kamala. What's happening for Kamala? What's happening for Kamala? Kamala.
I literally cannot remember the question
I know.
from the previous one. It's just gone blank.
Oh, well, I was dreading this for obvious reasons.
All right. Who's ready to go?
I can, if you...
Go for it.
Or if you're ready, Hoagie, maybe you should, because you missed out.
All right. Yes. All right. This is what I'm getting, and as you know, I'm just going to say it as it is. She's a bit tied up right now. Yeah. There we are. We've got the Eight of Swords, and I think she's feeling beat up. I think. Do you know what? This is what I'm gonna say here. I have a feeling that Kamala felt that she had her hands tied, just in general, when she was trying to fight this election.
Yeah,
That's how I'm interpreting that. I think she it came with a lot of joy, a lot of energy. And I think she did the best in the time that she had.
Yes,
but I don't think it was long enough. She burst into the firmament like a bright star, but just didn't have enough time to really sink in and make that impact and all that kind of stuff. So I have a feeling this is probably how she felt deep down about her vice presidency. Yeah, tied. Here in the obstacle position, we have the Magician card. So again, this could also speak about maybe not feeling like she was able to use every tool at her disposal, but because the question is like, would she be president in 2025? I'm going to say, I think it's tricky. I think it's very tricky. I think it depends what emerges with time. Yeah. Because here we've got the Queen of Cups, and of course this can also talk about secrets or plots and stuff like that. So I think the issues that we've been discussing about irregularities, this yet has to emerge, and that will be a factor. If that does happen, then of course, let me cover the boobies. Then of course, this would be a situation where she would have to move forward quickly and powerfully. However, the outcome is the Seven of Cups, which is the card which deals with illusions and delusions. But who has the illusion and the delusion? Is it an illusion and a delusion that the election was stolen, and maybe this is just what the American people want right now? Or is it a case that the election itself was a farce and a delusion, and then something more truthful comes out? That's the bit where I'm not decided, and I think it depends on this Queen of Cups. We'll have to see what more comes out with the Queen of Cups. My instinct is I'm gonna say no, but I would happily be wrong on that case. Who would like to go next?
I can, if you like.
Go for it, Lena.
Yeah. Okay, this has presented another scenario here. Okay, if the Ace of Swords comes forward, this is the ultimate truth-seeking card, and it's also got legal implications and piercing the crown. If the Ace of Swords comes forward, she could defend and make a case very steadily and logically about something. Things could move surprisingly quickly. And this is the one that interested me. there's Two of Cups. My first thing was, you know, she brings people together and that's lovely. But I think there is still a possibility that Biden might step aside in the next 60 odd days, make her president until the 20th of January, and she carries the fight forward.
What? Oh my God. We need some dramatic music for that one. Right. My goodness. Lady G.
That's his call. He could choose to do that.
Mm.
Oh my God. I mean, do you know how controversial that would be? But I mean, it's plausible. I mean, it can be done.
It's all on the line. The future of the United States of America as a political social experiment is on the line.
Oh my gosh. Lady G, what do you have?
Well, this is a tough one for me to put out. But what I'm getting going into it, the reading is about the information held and the secrets behind it, the information held and the secrets behind it. So the energy coming into it is about, you know, the whole thing the Republicans have put in there and the pain that they're going to be screaming about with it. So right now, the energy is feeling embattled, having to battle through this because of the, you know, this not getting the fullness that we wanted, this when it comes to coming forward. The challenge is what's being offered up for the world when it comes to all of this, with this outcome of this feeling of loss because of this toxicity that's surrounding it. Now, what's interesting is what's underneath of it, which is this government and the justice, wanting the justice, but being tied up with this mentally and continuing the burden of this judgment that will continue to hang over her throughout her electorate.
Wow. Oh my
Well, I think we've covered a few angles there.
Yeah. I think we really have. I as you can see, I'm a little bit more skeptical. I need to see more evidence and things, but with the anecdotal, I'm finding these anecdotal things being mentioned quite compelling. What you've just read there, Lady G, that is so interesting as well. And then of course Lena with her very controversial I mean it's possible if he would to decide to do that, he could actually do that, but I think the consequences would be nuclear. But as you say, there is an awful lot that is on the line, and already the blue states are already saying they want to intervene on behalf of their citizens to protect them from maybe the worst ravages of a potential Trump presidency, which I think is taking down the country down another timeline already. So the stakes couldn't be higher, but the time has gone in a flash. Obviously, we could talk for 4 hours about this. I think we're obviously going to have to revisit this next week and see what has developed in that meantime to see if there is more evidence that is being produced. But all I stipulate is that the stakes are so high, there really does need to be compelling evidence. And that as yet, there's not quite enough yet, but let's see. But a very interesting show. I think we covered a lot of ground. Thank you to everyone for joining us as well. Well over 2,000 people joined us live.
Donations.
And thank you for the donations. Much appreciated. Thank you for the support. Please don't forget as well to like and subscribe. And if some of those people that maybe unsubscribed from my channel because they didn't like my reading on Dr. Orange would like to potentially come back, you are welcome. You're not judged. These are hot-headed, spirited times, and there's a lot going on. But ladies, yeah, thank you so much. So thank you so much, Lady G and Lena. We will be back next week. I think there's a lot to discuss, and let's see if I can even end the show.
Next week, I'll be in Sydney, but I think it should all be fine and normal. I've just got to remember to get on the
it froze.
plane.
Yeah, you'll be in
I'm
Sydney.
So distracted.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, the thingy bob buttons here on the StreamYard are a bit acting up, so I'm going to try and end the show, but we might still be chatting a little bit. Let me just see if I can actually end the show.
Click, click, click.
Oh God, I have to click.